Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us to learn more about the EDA's new tax credit opportunity. I'm Katie Whitcamp on the Business Development Membership side at the New Jersey Business and Industry Association. We're thrilled to help bring this program to you. EDA is a great partner of NJBIA, and we always welcome the opportunity to help share their news with NJBIA members and future members. For those of you who are new to BIA, we are the largest statewide business association in the country, representing approximately 1 million jobs in the state of New Jersey, which amounts to about 1/4 of New Jersey's workforce, offering customer development opportunities, visibility through events, magazine ads, our podcast and TV shows, and money-saving discounts on stuff you're probably already paying for, like payroll, healthcare, a 401k solution, and HR support. I'm going to drop my information in the chat so you can contact me. As always, feel free to be in touch and we can help get you whatever you might need. And with that, I'll turn it over now to Riley Edwards, Team Lead, Economic Security Projects, and Brian Todd, Senior Advisor, Food Desert Relief, both of EDA. Brian and Riley, the stage is all yours.
Thank you, Katie, and thank you, NJBIA, for partnering with us on this webinar. We're excited to share information about this new and innovative program. So thank you all for being here this morning. Before we get started, I just want to make sure that folks have this URL and information about where to go for further details about this program. We have a lot of in-depth resources on our webpage. We also have an email address here. Stands for Food Desert Relief Tax Credit Auction. It's kind of a mouthful, but we welcome and encourage questions submitted to that email address. I do want folks to keep in mind that there is a deadline for questions for this program, so we encourage you to take a look at these resources and send in your questions sooner rather than later. All right, so a brief look at today's agenda. I'm going to start with a welcome and a basic overview of the auction, go through some background on the Food Desert Relief Act, which is the legislation that created this program, talk about bidder eligibility and the auction process, and then walk through each section of the application so you can see exactly what questions will be asked and what that process looks like. And then we'll end with Q&A. And throughout the webinar, you are welcome to enter any Q&A using the or enter any questions using the Q&A feature on Zoom, and Brian and I will respond to those as we're able throughout the presentation, and we'll address any at the end that we haven't been able to answer. All right. Katie introduced us already, but my name is Riley Edwards. I'm joined by Brian Todd. We're on the Economic Security team at the New Jersey Economic Development Authority, which works on issues that you might not traditionally think of as economic development, including food security, which is Brian's area of expertise, as well as work around childcare and maternal and infant health. So talking to business audiences is not necessarily part of our day-to-day, but we're excited to have the opportunity to engage with this audience and New Jersey businesses in support of this program. If you're not familiar with EDA, we are the state's economic growth agency focused on everything from creating jobs to strengthening communities, really focused around creating a stronger and fairer economy in the state and driving a competitive future for the state. This slide really has the Food Desert Relief Tax Credit Auction in a nutshell. The first piece of this is that we are auctioning off tax credits. It's in the name. And the benefit for bidders, corporations, and insurance companies is a tax discount of up to 15%. What EDA gets out of this is that it really acts as a fundraiser for us to turn tax credits into cash that can fund grant, loan, and technical assistance programs. That's where the Food Desert Relief part of the name of the product comes in, but that's not something that the bidders necessarily have to be involved in at all. Really, the focus for corporations and insurance companies is everything here in blue. We were excited to announce last Thursday that there will be up to 10 million in tax credits available in the auction, which opens in about a month on September 18th. The tax types that are available, or tax credit types, are corporation business tax and insurance premiums tax. Those tax credits will first be able to be applied for 2023 liability if they have a 7-year carry forward. And then in the auction, there's a minimum tax credit request of $500,000 with a minimum price of 85 cents per dollar of tax credit. And because this really is more of a fundraiser for us to run programs in the future, this is not an EDA program where the participating businesses have ongoing commitments or compliance requirements. On the business side, this really is a purchase transaction, and that's the end of it. So I will start with some background on the Food Desert Relief Act, which kind of sets the scene for what we hope to do with the funds that we raise through this auction, just to give that part of the context. So the Food Desert Relief Act is part of the Economic Recovery Act, along with other major EDA programs that you may have heard of in the last couple of years. And that legislation has a few different goals. We see the issue of food deserts and food security as something that has no single solution, but really needs to have a diverse variety of types of programs and interventions to address the longstanding challenge. So part of this is around developing and operating new supermarkets and grocery stores in food deserts. Another piece is looking at what assets are already in these communities and making sure that they have what they need to be providing the nutritious food options accessible to the community. And then also helping keep up with the shift to e-commerce and online grocery ordering, something that really accelerated during the pandemic and something that not all New Jersey customers have equal access to if they're shopping using SNAP or WIC. And we want to make sure that that convenience is available as widely as possible. And then a big piece of this is looking for innovative solutions. Food security is not a new challenge, but we're hoping that we can find some new solutions and ways to address this and start to increase access to food throughout the state. This illustrates sort of the different pieces of the Food Desert Relief Act, which allocates $40 million in tax credits a year over 6 years for a total of $240 million to EDA. The first piece of this is tax credits specifically for developing and operating supermarkets. That is separate from this tax credit auction. That's a program that we've been working on developing and plan to open the application and roll that out in the coming months. But what we're here today to talk about is the money that we're aiming to raise through auctioning tax credits to fund future programs in the categories of grants and loans and technical assistance. And the Food Desert Relief Act specifies that these can be used for technology, equipment, and food security initiatives for smaller and mid-sized retailers, full-size grocery stores and supermarkets, and other entities in these communities that support food security. And in addition to funding that supports purchasing items, we know that some of the challenge that these entities and these communities face could just be know-how. And so we want to make sure that we have technical assistance programming that connects these types of stakeholders in food desert communities with the information and assistance that they need to get online and have SNAP online grocery delivery and all these sorts of things that will expand access to healthy and nutritious foods. A key piece of this is that we are focused on specific designated food desert communities. So this was really our first project under the Food Desert Relief Act, was to partner with the Department of Community Affairs and the Department of Agriculture to go through a really rigorous data-driven process to identify 50 places in the state that qualify as food desert communities. The USDA has a definition of food desert communities, but it's sort of a one-dimensional definition, really based on distance to a supermarket. But we know that it's more than that. There are places that have a lot of food retail around, but those locations only sell more fast food or junk food. There are places where it looks like a supermarket's close, but without better transportation options, there's a whole swath of the community that's unable to access it. So bringing together a whole bunch of different metrics to come up with a more comprehensive definition of what makes something a food desert. We have a list of 50 throughout the state. They're not necessarily contiguous with a municipality, but they include pieces of 57 different municipalities. They're located in all 21 counties. And there are some municipalities, because they have such a large population, have more than one food desert community covering different pieces of that municipality. And if you go to our website, there's a link there to look at this interactive map, and you can zoom in on the boundaries of each specific food desert community and see which parts of a community are and aren't included. So the programs that will be funded by the proceeds from this auction will all be aimed at benefiting those specific food desert communities. So having gone through that background of what this is aimed at funding and the communities that we're hoping to support, let's get into the details of the auction and what it would look like to be a bidder in the auction. We get a lot of questions about whether bidders need to be involved in the food industry or located in one of these food desert communities or already doing something that supports food security. And none of that is required for this program. There are also no ongoing commitments from the part of the bidder that last beyond just purchasing this tax credit. What we do need from bidders is that they must be New Jersey corporation business tax or insurance premiums tax filers. They must be in good standing with the Department of Labor, Department of Environmental Protection, and Division of Taxation. And there's, as I mentioned previously, a minimum request of $500,000 in tax credits. So we're really looking at bidders with a pretty significant state tax liability here. And then there is a minimum price, which is 85 cents per dollar of tax credits. There's also a required deposit, which is refundable if the bidder is unsuccessful. And that deposit is equal to 10% of the total bid, but capped at $500,000. So if the bid is 5 million or above, the deposit doesn't continue to increase with that. And then additionally, there is a standard New Jersey EDA legal review that every applicant to any EDA program has to undergo. All right, I will walk you through the auction process here. So where we are right now, our question and answer period is open. As I mentioned at the beginning, we're taking questions at this email address, and those are due by the end of the day on September 5th. We will be periodically updating the FAQ on our website to provide answers to those questions, but any questions, any final questions that come in near the end of that Q&A period, the answers will all be posted by 5 p.m. on September 11th. And that provides bidders a week to review those answers before the online application opens on the morning of September 18th. The application will be open for a month and close at 5 p.m. on October 18th. So bids have to be submitted by then, and deposits also have to be initiated by that time. Once the auction is closed and we have all the bids in hand, we will go through an eligibility and legal review on our end. If the auction is oversubscribed, if we have 10 million in tax credits available. If we get $20 million in bids, we'll go through a process of seeking best and final offers from all the bidders to give them a chance to be more competitive against the fields of bids. Whether we do best and final offers or not, the next step is to rank the bids received from high to low, allocate the available tax credits, starting with the highest bidder, and prorate if there is a need for that. And we'll walk through that a little bit more in detail later. Once we've got the bid, the award amount set for the successful bidders, we'll send out approval notifications and tax credit purchase agreements. Then bidders have 30 days to execute the tax credit, or no, sorry, 10 days to execute the tax credit purchase agreement. And then that kicks off a 30-day period by which the remaining bid funds are due. Once we receive the remaining funds, we will work with New Jersey Treasury to get the tax credit certificates issued to you. At that point, bidders are all done. They have the tax credit, we have the bid funds. That piece of the process is all over, and from there, EDA takes those proceeds and funds these programs going forward to support food security in our communities. This slide walks through how the tax credit award amount is calculated. So if we have 10 million available, which is what we have for this auction, this walks through how we determine which bidder gets how much. So as I mentioned, we start by ranking them from highest to lowest by offer price. So if a bidder's offering 97 cents on the dollar, they would be ranked higher than a bidder offering 95 cents on the dollar. And then the tax credits available are allocated starting with the highest bidders going on down. And if there are requests for more than the amount we have available, when we hit a price where the last available tax credits are allocated, that price becomes the clearing price. What that means is that all the bids above the clearing price receive their full request. All the bids below the clearing price will be declined and have their deposit refunded. And any bids that are exactly at that clearing price may receive a prorated amount if the amount that they're requesting is in total more than the amount that remains. So this is another illustration of how that would work. We have $10 million available in this example, and we have 6 bidders, A through F, and together the amount that they've requested totals up to 15 million here in this column. And we can see if we rank them from highest to lowest as we have here, and then start allocating out the tax credits. Bidder A gets 4 million that they requested. Bidder B gets 3 million. So now we've used 7 million of the available 10. Bidder C gets 1 million. So we've now used 8 million. And then we get to bidder D and E, who bid at the same price, and they've asked for a total of 4 million. Well, we only have 2 million left. So they are at the clearing price because 90 cents on the dollar in this example is the price at which we hit that last available tax credit. Bidder F is below the clearing price, so they don't receive any tax credits and their deposit is refunded. And then what happens to bidder D and E here, as you see, is that they receive 50% of what they requested because the total requested at that price, 4 billion, was double the amount that was left over after allocating, starting with the highest bidders on down. All right, now that we have thrown a whole lot of information at you about the eligibility for the auction and how the process works, I'm going to hand it over to Brian to walk you through the application, the online auction application. So this is what every bidder will need to fill out in order to participate.
Thank you, Riley, and good morning to everyone. Thank you for participating in today's webinar. As Riley mentioned, the funds for this will be used for food security purposes. So anyone who's interested in corporate and social responsibilities, this is an item where you can benefit not only financially, but socially by participating. So I look forward to many of you doing that. When you go online to fill out our application, you will see at the website, if you click to start the application, you will come up with this page first, which is just a summary, basically talking about exactly what Riley spoke about. One thing to note on the save button, I suggest if you are applying, hit the save button at the bottom, because that will allow you to create the application so that you can continue and stop it at any time and return to it. As you will see, it is a rather lengthy application. So in most cases, I doubt anyone will go through it at one fell swoop. So definitely use that save button. Next page, please. The primary point of contact is pretty self-explanatory. Whoever is doing it, you would be the person to reach out to if there are any questions or concerns. Next page. And this continues on that with the title. There are a few questions. Are you applying on behalf of the applicants? In some cases, I know companies use consultants to do that and so forth. So you would be clicking on that, and then depending on what you click, if you click no, you will just move along in the application. If you click yes on any of those 3 questions, as far as authorized representative, CEO, media contact pages, there will be more information to fill out, as we'll go into on the next few pages. So this is for the authorized representative, fairly straightforward with basic information. And then the consultant information, similarly, again, if you hit no, that you're not a consultant, that part of this application will not appear. And then the next page, same with legal counsel, as far as that is concerned. And then the media contact is the last page on that. Again, as you're going along, please click the save information to make sure you're saving the application as you go along. I'm getting a little bit more into the details, what the organization is applying, so your full organization name. If you're doing business as under another name, please include that here. The entity type, which you will see on the right-hand side of the page where they list them: sole proprietor, LLC, corporate, not-for-profit, out-of-state. So we'll need some other information there as you fill in your mailing address, but then what your formation documentation may be. So that can be anything from what your certificate of incorporation and bylaws, or your certificate of formation. Those can be uploaded and then moved on to the next page of the application. Again, you'll need your federal ID number, your New Jersey ID number. Also, as you move ahead, the NAICS, the North American Industry Classification System, if you know that. If not, there's a link there to click and find out what type of business category you fall under. You will also need to upload your tax clearance certificate from the New Jersey Division of Taxation. If you don't have one on hand, they can be obtained through the link on this page, which you can go through. That may take some time if you have never done it before, so please follow those instructions carefully. We'll be asking you if you're religiously affiliated. Again, if you select no, the next section of this will not appear, but if you do suggest yes, then there will be a religious affiliation form that you will be able to upload. And then we also ask if you are previously received any NJEDA assistance, although this is something where you'll be purchasing a tax credit. It's part of our standard application. We ask this question. Next page. This is another standard question, whether you're involved in the cannabis industry. If you are, you would not be eligible. So fairly straightforward, 2 questions there. Next page, please. This is the diversity, equity, and inclusion. So again, we're looking for more information about the diversity of your organization. As you click on it, if you select minority there, it'll show the next 2 fields. You have the option of answering or picking none of the above, or prefer not to answer. Next page. And this continues with that. So again, you can what type of which certifications you may hold within the state of New Jersey, whether you're a minority-owned business, woman-owned business, etc. Any additional diversity and information that you'd like to provide, you can please use that. Fill in the boxes in there. As the commentary says, for all text entry fields in this section, text entry is required unless the NA options are selected. So next page, please. And then if there is any additional information you'd like to provide about diversity, equity, and inclusion, you can also upload any documentation on that front. If you need language assistance, again, that is, you would answer yes to this. And again, selecting what would hide the fields that would follow it, what language you may need help with, and so forth. Next page. Now we get more into the New Jersey Food Desert Relief Tax Credit function information, following through on what really is.
Sorry, Brian, it seems like your audio might have cut out. Oh, there we go. I can hear you again.
There we go. Okay, I'm sorry. Something clicked
No
off.
worries. I would just start over at the top of the page.
That's what I was just. Yeah, so this is the Food Desert Relief Tax Credit Auction information. Getting into the nitty-gritty of the application. In this section, you'll be filling in what type of tax credit you'll be applying for, whether it's an insurance premium tax or a corporate business tax. And then you will go from there. Again, you would confirm at the bottom, clicking that box And then you would go to the next page, please. So this, we will need to know your filing tax period. We realize most people are probably calendar year, but I know for insurance companies, in many cases, it's a different time frame, but whatever that may be, fill it in here. You would then plug in the face value of the tax credits requested. Again, it has to be more than $500,000. And then the bid price is the percentage of that you would like to pay. 85% is the minimum, and that would be plugged in here. As with this bid, the total bid number will be automatically calculated for it. So thus $5 million requested, the total bid would be $4.25 million. And then again, please click the box that you've committed to this calculated bid as above. And then the next page, thank you. And then another question we're required to ask is if you're receiving any other development subsidies, and please answer that question here and where they're coming from. Again, if there's more than one, you can click through, but it's naming the granting body and so forth, what the date of that commitment might be, and the total amount of that, and a brief description of what it might be. Again, if there's more than one, you would just add that. Here is a definition of exactly what we're looking for in the what a development subsidy may be on that front. Next slide. And this is, again, applicant representation. Basically is that the individual filling this out is applying for the program. You will be then, you must have one of the following that you're there, whether it's for a corporation or a partnership, sole proprietorship, similar to the question that was previously, and clicking yes there, and then indicating which of the individual who is filing the application, what their title is, whether it's principal, executive, and so forth. Again, remind everyone to hit save as they're filling this out. This is the legal questionnaire that Riley referred to earlier, that is part of the process and must be filled out again, as with any NJEDA program. Rather lengthy, but basically, the definitions as far as the entities are there and relevant affiliates. So please fill in what affiliate organizations you may have. And then as far as if there are any proceedings that you're taking part of, this is all legalese going through on filling in whether you're part of any proceedings and pending proceedings, and then verifying that all of the information that has been entered is truthful. And that would be done here before clicking to the next page. This is another required certification that you're not involved in activities in Russia or Belarus. That would be simple to fill out and sign, and click next. So next page. And this is the certification of the application, talking about just verifying all of the information and certifying that the undersigned acknowledges that they are subject to the terms of the agreement and so forth. And then click next. And this is where the deposit is required. As Riley mentioned, it is 10% of the amount applied for, up to $500,000. So thus, if you're applying for more than 5 million, the maximum would be $500,000. This is the information for the wire transfer. The deposits must be initiated by the close of the auction on October 18th, about 5 p.m. So if that is done before, please, do so. But we understand that that many may not initiate it until as the program comes to a close. So so please make sure that this is filled out, and then hit save to generate the application. This will then come up with the deposit that you're required to do, and that you will agree to remit that amount. And then this is, if you have submitted that payment, you would click yes here, and then or initiate it, and how you may initiate that, whether it's a copy of the transfer and so forth, and then you would upload that documentation using that information. This will be key to making sure that it is done and that all of the applicants are eligible for the auction process. Next slide. And this finally getting down to the electronic signature on exactly signing off on the application, fairly straightforward. And then if you click next from there, it will come up with the application submission, that if there are any additional documentation that you'd like to provide, again, putting in your full name, title, and date. And then by clicking next and hopefully save as well, you will be thanked for completing the application and coming back. So I think that is the end of the application process here. Please, any questions, please use the Q&A portion to enter questions, and we'd be glad to answer any that you might have right now. And thank you very much for your time this morning in learning more about the program.
Thank you, Brian. I will give folks some time to enter any questions that they have into the Q&A feature, and I will just address the one that we've answered so far. Someone asked, what happens if more than 10 million is applied for? Would there be extra funding to support the demand beyond 10 million? And that's a great question. At the moment, we are only auctioning 10 million, but we do have approval from our board to increase that amount up to 50 million based on demand. So if we are seeing a ton of interest in this auction, we are able to raise the amount available before the auction closes, and would make sure that that is publicized so that folks know about that change. If folks have questions that come up after the webinar, again, please email those to FDRTC Auction at NJEDA.gov. We'll be happy to answer those, and we'll make sure that those questions and answers get included in the FAQ on our website so that all the bidders have equal access to this information in advance of the application window. All right, somebody asks, how long from the 90% deposit till the time we get the credit? That's a great question. So the deposit is due 30 days after the agreement is executed. We're expecting the agreement execution to happen right around the end of 2023, potentially into early 2024. Sorry, just trying to get all the way back to the right page here. There we go. So the agreement, oh, too far. Agreement will be executed right around the end of the year, and the funds will be due within 30 days after that. Apologies for the jumping around here. I think it's going to stay here. So those bid funds are going to be due likely around the end of January, beginning of February there, and then the tax credit certificates typically take 30 to 45 days to be issued by Treasury. Sometimes it's shorter than that. We'll certainly do the best we can to expedite that, but then you can apply the credit anytime after you have that certificate in hand.
And I know Riley mentioned the frequently asked questions section on the website. So again, if there are any questions that you might come up with, suggest you look there first. We may have addressed it already, and should be extremely helpful as you move forward.
Another resource on the website that we'd really encourage folks to take a look at is we have a template version of the tax credit purchase agreement. We are really hoping to minimize any changes once we get to that stage of the process, and we want folks to review that now and raise any questions that they have about the agreement up front so that we can make sure it works for everybody before we get to the end of December when we're sending these out and asking for signatures. I just answered the question that somebody put in the Q&A. I love when I read your mind. Is the template agreement now available on the website? It sure is. If I get back through to the end of this deck, we've got, again, a list of the resources that are on our website. And, oh, here we go. Not really cooperating today, but here we go. We've got a list of the resources on our website, the FAQ, a sample application, so you can look more in depth at the slides that Brian walked through with that specific question language and all of the details there, an application checklist that summarizes all of the documents you'll need to upload and the information that will be required, so you can start getting that ready before the application itself is open, template of the tax credit purchase agreement, and then an overview of the auction process if you want to review how the award amounts are calculated, or what the order of steps in the process is. And then any questions that aren't already answered in our FAQ, please send them our way at this email address. We'll make sure that the FAQ is updated on a rolling basis with those answers.
And we've put in the chat several times the website, the direct link if you need it. So please. And you can always reach out to NJDIA. We can help with whatever you might need as well.
Thank you, Katie. I see another question in the Q&A, just making sure the buyer can be headquartered out of state. They just need to be a New Jersey taxpayer. That is correct. There is no location requirement for the bidders here. They just have to be have a liability for New Jersey corporation business tax or insurance premiums tax. Is this annual auction or just this one time? At this moment, we're planning for this to be the only auction that we do. Things could change based on what the demand is like and what we opt to do going forward. But at the moment, this is a one-time opportunity to purchase these tax credits. Can you bid for this if you were already awarded credits from the Evergreen Fund auction? What tax year can the taxpayer use this credit? Great question. You can bid for this if you were already awarded credits from the Evergreen Fund auction. The Evergreen Fund is not doing an auction in 2023, so you can bid for this instead. They're not. One doesn't make you ineligible for the other. And then what tax year can the credits be used for? The first, assuming that bidders are calendar year filers, they'll first be able to use these credits for tax year 2023. And then there is also a 7-year carry forward. They can't be used for tax years prior to 2023. And just like participating in Evergreen doesn't make you ineligible for this program, that extends to all EDA programs. So if you are receiving some other tax credit or have in the past, or any number of other interactions with EDA, you can participate in those as well as in this.
Any other questions? I know there was so much information given out. Riley and Brian were so great in giving everything. We'll hold it open for a few more minutes. And if not, we can all give you some time back in your day. But please, if there's more questions, let us know.
Thank you, Katie. And yeah, there are a whole lot of details to keep track of. So again, really encourage folks to go to the website and check out these resources to make sure that you're clear on everything, and then reach out with any questions. Are you going to share this presentation with the attendees? Absolutely. We will send out this slide deck and a recording of the webinar to all the folks who registered later this week when the recording is ready. There is carry forward of 7 years. Is there room for carry back? There is not. Unfortunately, that's one of the restrictions on these tax credits. They can only be used in 2023 and going forward.
Well, if there's no other questions, like I said, Riley and Brian, thank you so very much for all of this information. Please reach out to them or the EDA if there's questions. We did put the URL in there several times. I'm Katie Whitcamp with NJBIA. If you have BIA questions or anything we can help you with, please reach out to us. And unless Riley and Brian, you have anything else to say? Any closing comments?
I think we're all set. Thank you all for joining us today. We really appreciate the interest in this program that we see as a win-win, both for the business community in New Jersey and these food desert communities. So we look forward to your participation, and again, welcome any further questions via the email on the screen. And please check out that website as Katie has shared the URL. So thank you again.
Great. So I hope everybody has a wonderful Monday, and please be in touch if you need anything. Thanks so much for joining us.